Eddie Howe's statement on Alexander Isak as a decision is made on the Liverpool transfer target. Fed-up Newcastle boss Eddie Howe insists Alexander Isak must take responsibility after being banished to train on his own. The unsettled Swede was barred from attending a bonding session at the club's training ground when players' families were invited. It is the clearest indication yet of how angry Howe is with his prize asset, whose dream move to Liverpool is in jeopardy, with would-be replacement Benjamin Cesco rejecting Newcastle in favour of Manchester United. The striker missed Newcastle's Asian tour with the club, saying he had a minor thigh injury, and he then took himself off to his former club Real Sociedad's training complex, with Howe only finding out via the media. While the Toon chief has not directly criticized Isac in public, he made it clear how irked he's been at recent events last weekend, announcing he must earn the right to train with the squad again. Howe said, "The player has a responsibility here to be part of a team and part of a squad, and you have to act in the right way. No player can expect to act poorly and train with the group as normal." And he's followed up those words by getting tough, excluding Isac from yesterday's family get-together, and not involving him in first-team training. How long the 25-year-old is forced to train on his own remains to be seen, but the embattled Howe has a delicate balancing act to perform following the latest transfer target to snub Newcastle. Unless the Magpies head coach can bring in another striker he feels is a suitable replacement, Newcastle will not consider selling Isac. At the same time, if the situation remains as it is when the transfer window shuts, Howe will have the difficult task of having to rely heavily on an unhappy player who has made it clear he no longer has a future on Tyneside. Newcastle have friendlies against Espanyol and Atletico Madrid tomorrow night, and on Saturday at St. James Park, and perhaps not surprisingly, the club has decided against holding a press conference before the two Sela Cup games. Newcastle banish Isac after Liverpool bid, Cesco makes Man United choice, ease to Arsenal update. Benjamin Cesco is set to choose Manchester United over Newcastle, with the Old Trafford hierarchy confident that the highly rated RB Leipzig striker wants to join Ruben Amorim's project despite the lack of Champions League football. Newcastle United are themselves desperate for a new striker amid interest in Alexander Isak. The 25-year-old has been trying to force a move away from the club amid an ongoing pursuit from Liverpool, but Newcastle are holding out for a massive fee, having rejected Liverpool's first bid. Manager Eddie Howe admitted the situation is far from ideal, and the club have now banished Isac to train separately from the squad. Newcastle have made a second bid for Leipzig Cesco, after their first was deemed not good enough by the German side. But Manchester United, who are hopeful of securing a number 9 of their own, have submitted their own big-money offer as the two clubs will battle it out over the closing days of the window. Elsewhere, Liverpool have agreed to sell Darwin Núñez to Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal. Ruben Dias on the verge of agreeing a new contract with Manchester City. Nicholas Jackson is set to leave Chelsea this summer, while Arsenal are aiming to bolster their forward line by signing Crystal Palace's Eberechi. Palace want a fee in excess of £60 million, which is the amount of Eze's release clause, but the Gunners are running out of time to trigger it. Man United and Newcastle submit offers for Cesco as Leipzig star makes choice. Manchester United have submitted a first offer worth up to €85 million for Benjamin Cesco as they battle with Newcastle for the RB Leipzig striker. Earlier on Monday, Newcastle submitted their second offer for Cesco, worth €80 million plus a further €10 million in potential add-ons, in the hope of getting a deal over the line after seeing their first bid rejected. Newcastle want to secure a replacement striker for manager Eddie Howe as Liverpool pursue Alexander Isak, his top goal scorer last season. But the Independent understands that Manchester United are convinced Cesco would prefer a move to Old Trafford over St. James Park. United had been cautious, reluctant to get into a bidding war, but have now played their hand with an offer of €75 million plus €10 million in add-ons. Darwin Núñez on verge of Liverpool exit as striker faces decision. Liverpool are close to agreeing a deal to sell Darwin Núñez to Saudi Pro League side Al Hilal for an initial £46.2 million. However, they are waiting to see if the striker will agree to leave Anfield after a 3-season spell. Nunez also attracted interest from AC Milan, but there were doubts if the Serie A side could meet Liverpool's asking price, whereas Al Hilal are willing to pay a fee that could rise to £56.6 million, including add-ons. Barcelona facing Rashford registration problem. Barcelona faces a race against time to make room for Marcus Rashford in their La Liga squad, according to reports in Spain. The Catalan club faces a familiar problem from last season, when they struggled to register Dani Olmo. La Liga's wage cap requires clubs to reduce their outgoings if they want to add any new arrivals to their squad. Speaking last week, Rashford said he was relaxed about the situation and expected it to be sorted ahead of the opening match on August 16. Liverpool transfer news: Alexander Isak, Rodrigo, Jean-Philippe Mateta and more. Liverpool are bracing for a busy summer to build on the season's Premier League title success. Arne Slot orchestrated a stunning debut campaign at Anfield, inheriting a stacked squad from Jurgen Klopp before taking English football by storm to seal a record-equaling 20th top-flight crown for the club. The summer months of 2024 hardly shaped the season that followed for Liverpool, and Slot has already proven that he doesn't require overwhelming transfer activity to be successful. Last summer, he saw just 2 arrivals come through the door in the form of Georgi Mamardashvili, who was immediately loaned back to Valencia, and Federico Chiesa, who played a total of just 104 minutes in the Premier League. But with Trent Alexander-Arnold heading for the exit and a Premier League title to defend, Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards are expected to engage in a substantial recruitment drive over the coming months. And the signs are extremely promising for Reds fans, with Jeremy Frimpong having signed from Bayer Leverkusen before Florian Wirtz, Milos Kerkez, and Hugo Ekitike followed through the door. Darwin Nunez set for Liverpool Community Shield squad despite doubts over future. Darwin Nunez is expected to be in Liverpool's squad for the Community Shield on Sunday despite ongoing speculation about his future. The PA news agency understands the Uruguay international's representatives are in talks with Al Hilal, who have been linked with the striker for several months, but the Saudi Pro League club has yet to open discussions with the Reds. Everton opened talks over Greish. Everton has opened talks with Manchester City over a potential move to sign Jack Grealish, reports David Ornstein. The initial approach is based on a season-long loan, with Ornstein labeling it a complicated deal. Grealish made just 7 Premier League starts during the 2024-25 campaign, and though his contract runs through to 2027, it is likely that he will move this summer. Isac to train away from main Newcastle group. Alexander Isak will train away from the main group at Newcastle United training today, reports Sky Sports. Isak's been told to report late afternoon and train and recover on his own. The players and staff will have a team gathering this afternoon with families invited, adds Downey. Isac will report to the training ground after they have left. Oliver Glasner admits he's seriously surprised by Liverpool transfer decision. It remains to be seen if Crystal Palace will be playing in the Europa League next season, but they will definitely be walking out against Liverpool on Sunday. In actual fact, Oliver Glasner might have been wary of strengthening Liverpool's squad before another chance to win silverware, albeit a trophy that's not quite as revered as the FA Cup or Premier League. Arne Slot's side are interested in signing Palace's captain this summer, and Mark Gahey is leaning towards a Liverpool move as opposed to joining Newcastle United, for example. But fortunately for Glasner, Gahey will be wearing Palace colours on Sunday, hoping to lift another trophy. Crystal Palace boss Oliver Glasner comments on Liverpool's active transfer window. That being said, when speaking to Sky Sports Austria ahead of the weekend, Glasner has now discussed Liverpool's transfer business this summer. And whilst Glasner might not be happy with Palace's activity, he seemed both surprised and impressed with developments at Anfield. Translated via Sport Witness, Glasner said, "Liverpool have obviously invested heavily this year with Florian Wirtz, Hugo Ekitike, Frimpong, and Kerkez. I don't know if they'll bring in Isac now too. They've been playing at this level for years, so I have to say I was a bit surprised that they were so active, but of course it also shows their ambitions. I think you can always clearly see a club's ambitions in the transfer market. And it seems that Liverpool isn't satisfied with just winning the English League. I think they want to win the Champions League. And they obviously saw that we needed to add one or two things to the squad, and they made that very clear and explicit early on this summer. Arne Slot might still have two more key signings to come. It's not exactly a secret by this point that Liverpool would like to buy Alexander Isak from Newcastle United in addition to the transfers they've already finalized. But perhaps Richard Hughes and his team won't stop there, either. TBR Football recently revealed that Anthony Gordon would love to join Liverpool, whether it's now or in the future. And following Luis Diaz's departure to Bayern Munich, Liverpool would benefit from the addition of a new left winger. Rion Gumaha is seriously impressing at Liverpool, but it might be a little bit too much, too soon, if the 16-year-old were expected to dovetail with Cody Gakpo throughout the season. Jamie Carragher uses Erling Haaland to double down on Liverpool transfer point after fan backlash. Jamie Carragher has doubled down on his comments about Liverpool's pursuit of Alexander Isak after questioning the way his former club has gone about its business. The Reds continue to be strongly linked with the Newcastle striker, despite having a bid rejected for him last week, and no plans currently in place to submit another offer. The saga looks to be far from over though. Isac was forced to train away from the rest of his teammates on Wednesday, with Eddie Howe also telling him to stay away from a family event being held at Newcastle's training ground. Meanwhile, the Magpies' failure to land Benjamin Sesko looks to have created another roadblock to a potential exit for the Swedish international. Nevertheless, there is a growing sense that Liverpool's pursuit of Isac might not be over something that Carragher has been left confused by. The former defender questioned Liverpool's attempts to sign Isac as he appeared on the Overlaps fan debate, given the signing of Hugo Ekitike already this summer. He will be an amazing signing, but from a fan's point of view for myself, I don't want Liverpool to spend £150 million on Isac, Carragher said. There's something about Liverpool buying another striker, Ekitike, and he's backup. Something about it doesn't feel right to me. I know Liverpool need numbers, for a number of reasons, at the top of the pitch. I look at Isac, and he's obviously thrown his toys out the pram once Arsenal signed a striker and Liverpool signed a striker. From his point of view and from his agent's point of view, do they not tell Newcastle months ago that they wanted to move on? It feels a bit messy to me now. For me, when I think of Liverpool, it doesn't look really planned. I don't think the plan is to buy a striker for £80 million, and then be looking to buy another one for £120 million. Carragher's comments have come in for some backlash online from Liverpool fans, many of whom see Isac as the club's dream signing, and feel there would still be a place in the side for Ekitike given he is also capable of playing on the left. Carragher though isn't backing down, insisting he can't see how both Ekitike and Isac could play regularly at Anfield, and drawing upon Erling Haaland and Harry Kane to back up his argument. When you have a top striker like Isac, Haaland, Kane, it's very difficult to have quality backup as they always play. Carragher responded to one fan on X. Spurs never had any backup for Kane, Newcastle had an injury-prone Callum Wilson, and Man City had to sell Alvarez because they couldn't keep him happy. Thanks for watching. Like and comment. Subscribe.